Tenemos mucho que celebrar, que gracias a vosotros hoy somos finalistas del premio que da el gobierno regional a la excelencia empresarial. Es un momento muy delicado. No podemos tener a ese individuo ahí cuando llegue la comisión. ¿Qué nos deja sin premio?
¿Qué dicen las pancartas?
Lo que dicen siempre las pancartas. Nada bueno.
Tenemos problemas peores.
Miralles, otra vez. Te veo con la cabeza al otro lado. ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Dónde estás?
Mi mujer dice que necesita aire. Le compro una botella de oxígeno o qué cojones hago yo.
¿Y esas?
Las nuevas.
¿Te acerco?
No es buena idea.
La justicia se tapa los ojos para no influir en lo que juzga.
A mí me encanta que me tapen los ojos también.
Tengo los oídos mal, del megáfono. Y tuve otitis de pequeño y los tengo muy sensibles.
¿Y qué quieres que haga yo? ¿Te llevo al otorrino? ¿Tú crees que puede montar este escándalo en medio de todo el mundo? Miralles está fatal.
Los problemas que yo tenga con mi marido no son cosa tuya.
Perdóname, es que en el momento que perjudican a mi empresa son mis problemas. A veces hay que trucar la balanza para que la medida sea exacta. Excelencia.
The brilliantly dark comedy drama The Good Boss is in Australian cinemas from April 14, with an impressive 6 Goya Awards to its name, including a Best Actor nod for Javier Bardem and 3 trophies, Best Film, Director and Original Screenplay for our guest. From his workplace in Madrid, welcome to Screen Watching, Fernando Leon de Aranoa. It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you.
Congratulations on The Good Boss and all the trophies. You've been getting Goya's dating back to Best New Director in 1996 for Familia. Did you still get a thrill out of that moment when they opened the envelope and read your name?
Right. I was very young by then, you know, like I can tell almost 30 years ago. Can you believe that? I was not young, not anymore.
But still a wonderful time for you? You enjoy the acclaim?
Yeah. It was actually, it's always exciting. I was thinking that maybe, you know, even when you are that young, you don't think it's so important. You just say like, it's okay, you know, it's just an award. But then when you became older, like now, you understand what important is, and then you appreciate more, you know, what that means. Sure. But then answering to your question, yeah, right, it's very exciting. And actually for this particular awards, when I got the Goya for Best Screenplay, it was very, very nice and very moving, because I could tell that the people was very engaged with the film. I'm very happy to give this award to the film, and then it was a very beautiful moment.
Wonderful, and thoroughly deserved too. Let's get on to the film. In this new climate of workplace behavior standards and Me Too reform, plus, I guess, a general distrust of old school capitalism, getting audiences to even care for someone like Blanco, I guess, was your first challenge. Tell us about how the character formed initially.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think one of the biggest challenges in this film to me was to work to deal with this character, which is not a pretty positive one. I mean, I think he's very charismatic, and he's very funny also, but he's also, you know, like he's terrible also. I mean, the way he deals with his characters is it's fun, but it's also terrible. I love that mix, you know. Sure. In the sense that you somehow identify with the character, but at the same time you are saying, I'm really identifying myself with this guy, you know. Yeah. And I love that kind of feeling, you know, in the audience, that mix of feelings, no, like having fun, but at the same time going through a tough moment, no, with the character. And then the character, you know, the first thing in my head was the character himself, no. And this idea of the owner of a factory, Scales Factory, who deals with his character, with his employees in that way, I mean, trying to go too far into their personal lives. So he thinks if he fixes the sentimental and personal problems of his workers, things they will be much more productive in the factory. And this is how this is why he goes that far into their personal lives. And I found this on one side funny, I mean, because I could tell that some pretty funny situations were to come, but also disturbing because you don't want your boss to go that far into your personal life and trying to fix your sentimental problems. And so that kind of balance, I felt it was interesting. And of course, I thought that this could tell about how power relationships are in a working place, no, and how dangerous they can be.
I guess 20 years ago, you examined working class Spanish lives in Mondays in the Sun. With The Good Boss, you return to the dynamics of a Spanish workplace. Can you draw a straight line between the two worlds, between these two films, or has too much changed in our understanding of the employee-employer relationship?
Yeah, I think there is a line. Actually, I was very interested in going back to this issue of labor relationships from a very different point of view. Actually, I feel it was fun to have Javier Bardem playing both characters, which are almost the opposite. No, in that film, Mondays in the Sun, Javier was, I mean, the main character in the film was Javier Bardem, was playing an unemployed worker, which I mean, a very tough guy with very clear ideas and a working class conscious, no? And in this one is almost the opposite, no? It's like a mirror, no? He's playing the other character, the one who's taking advantage of his position to get the best out of his workers and not in a very ethic way, you know. Yeah. So I felt this was interesting, but also my idea was, in that film, which was made 20 years ago, there was something which was very important for the film, I think, which is that those workers were feeling themselves part of a class. They had like a strong social conscious, no, of their position, and they were united. And this was like a kind of this was good for them, no? Because that way they could stand strong and even in the worst situations, no, being employed. And for this film 20 years ago, I wanted to do almost the opposite. No, I was in this factory, in this working place. You can't find that kind of working class conscious. You can find that solidarity between them. I mean, they are not united at all. You can tell by watching the film, they are actually the opposite. No, they are in a competition. They are trying to get, and when one of them is fired and he comes out of the factory, nobody's going to cross the street to give him a hand because they fear that they will be the next one. And I think, sadly, this is very useful today. I mean, not only today, but in the last 15 years. And I wanted this film to tell about this other situation. So somehow it's showing like a worse situation than it was 20 years ago, but with humor, which has been important for me.
Yeah, it was a wonderful film, as is The Good Boss. I want to talk, and I don't want to give away any spoilers here. I don't want to sort of, affect anyone's sort of thoughts on the films going into it, but I do want to talk about the character of Liliana, played by the wonderful Almudena Amor, and in particular her sexuality. And I'm going to tread carefully here. The nature of how she employs sex and how that differs from how the men view sex. Give us some insight into forming this character in your head and how what she does in the film also translates to the modern workplace and the modern sort of managerial structure. Yeah.
Well, I think to answer that first, I'd like to say that I think that the film deals or mostly tells about power. I mean, and in relationships, in not only in professional relationships, but also in personal relationships, no? And about how we use it, no? When we have that power and we can use it over some other people to get what we really want, what we really need or hope. I mean, the good boss in the film, he has an aim, no? And he needs something very, very strongly, no? and then he's using his power in different ways over his workers. No, I mean, depending on what he needs from each one of them. So Liliana is part of that, no? And I mean, what Blanco is looking out of her is something different, no? And it's related to personal and sexual relationships, no? The thing is, so this is the kind of behavior that he usually has. I mean, in every month. I mean, with a different girl or every, you know. So for this particular character, and almost for each one of them, no, I wanted her to be different. I mean, I want her to be like what I think she is actually, a very strong woman, which you may think in the beginning that she's going to be like a new victim of Blanco, no? And you could tell that she's going through the same path than the previous girls, and that she has been involved with. But and I can't talk a lot because I don't want to spoil. You know,
yes, yeah.
But there is something about her which is not that clear. I mean, she has her own agenda, no, and so I think that somehow she will make a turn, you know, in this kind of behavior that he has, no. And I wanted that idea, not to have this young lady which seems to be very young and very fragile, but at the same time she's very strong, and there is like a dark side that you can't tell in the beginning. And I loved the actress Almudena because I could tell from the very beginning that she could bring that for the character. No, it's like you never know exactly what's going through her head. No, and I find that kind of mystery very interesting. No?
Yeah, she's wonderful opposite Javier. They have a great chemistry and a very dark chemistry together. They're terrific together. I guess for Australian audiences who mostly know Javier from some of the Hollywood roles, certainly the broader mainstream audience from the, you know, recently Dune and Spectre, watching him act in his beautiful Spanish language is an absolute privilege. Did you write Blanco for him? And I guess second to that, what does his industry status and his experience bring to a film set? Yeah.
Well, first, I think when I brought the character, you know, I am actually more still a screenwriter than direct films. You know, I love to write, and this is what I did first. And then as a screenwriter, I'm used to not to think of actors, because as a screenwriter, you can't do that. I mean, somebody else is going to make that decision. And that was the beginning of my career. So when I started writing a script, I try not to think of a particular actor, because what if he doesn't want to do the film? You know, you have a problem. You know, you have a character which you have written for somebody who's not playing the character. So then I try not to do it. And I just try to think of Blanco like in the air, like a completely fictional character. This is what I do usually, and I love to do that, by the way. But then, of course, at some moment, I start thinking of Javier as the best option for the film and for the character. We have worked together. I mean, he has the strength and the charisma that the character needs, and also the humor. I know that because we're very good friends, and we have a lot of fun together. And then, yeah, at some moment, I thought of Javier, so I shared the idea with him, and I offered him the role. I was so lucky that he read the script and he loved it. He loved Blanco and thought, this is very funny. And this is, he says, this is very difficult to do, so I want to do it, you know. And then about the language, you're right. I mean, he's not filming a lot in Spanish, and he loves to do it because, of course, I mean, it's his native language, so he feels very comfortable with that, no? And then he joined the film, and we start working together in developing the character, and I think, I mean, when he loves a role and a film, he joins the film, which I don't think it doesn't matter if it's a huge production or if it's a small one or a medium one. He's very engaged with the character and with the project. I mean, not only, and that's great for you as a director, for me as a director.
You know, I watched a few interviews of you preparing for this interview, and you're asked that question a lot about the qualities that Javier possesses that make directing him so wonderful. I want to flip that around. What would he say about you? What are the qualities that you bring that Javier keeps coming back for?
He's very, very generous. I mean, too much.
No humility.
I'm even ashamed of what he says about me, you know.
Let's hear it.
You know, I'd love to be the guy that he depicts. you know. I'm not. He's very, very generous. I mean, it's.
I guess by that I mean, what's your directing mantra? What do you bring to a film set that makes it calm, makes it creative?
Yeah.
How do you look at filmmaking and why do actors like Javier, you know, keep working with you?
I think I could mention, on one hand, as I told you before, I think that one of the best things that I can do for an actor is to write a nice character, you know, and a complex character, not only black or white. I hate that. I think that's the worst thing that you can do to a character or to a film or to a script, you know, like to be the Manichaeism. You know, I think that's the worst. I mean, so to have this mix of shadows and lights and humor and drama, I love that when I watch films, and then I try to do it. And I think Javier appreciates that also. I think that's his taste also, you know, he likes that kind of characters. And so I think this is the first thing that I can do for Javier or for anyone. I mean, to write a good character. And then when directing comes and we start to share about the character, I don't know, I love to work with actors, of course, with Javier, and I like to protect their time on the set. You know, I pay attention to everything because that's my duty. But I think I mostly pay attention to them, and I try to protect their environment. You know, when you are in a rush, when there are problems every day in the set, I try to create a very safe environment for them. I try to rehearse a lot. So I love, you know, for this particular film, which has this big ensemble, you know, it was very important, those 7 characters, to be very close and to be, so I work a lot with all of them, with not only with Javier, but with everyone. So when we reached the set, you could tell that energy was already there. And again, to protect and to create this environment, this safe environment. And with Javier, we have also like, I think he feels very safe with me, and I feel very safe with him. So, and when you feel very safe with your partner in crime, you can take risks, you know, you can go very far away. If it doesn't work, you will step back. But if it works, you can reach some kind of excellence, as Blanco would say, you know. But you need to take risk, and you only take risk when you really trust the other guy, you know. And I think he does with me, and so I do with him. So we explore crazy ideas on the set. Some of them you won't see them. I mean, you can see them, of course. They are not in the film, but some of them are in the film. And you only do that when you feel safe. No, if you don't have that trust, you will play conservative. No, you will play safe, and then things will be okay, but they won't be that special.
I'm a huge fan of the film. It's being released by Shamil Films down here, April 14, all around Australia. Fernando, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you so much for an incredible catalogue of film and that extraordinary creativity that you bring to cinema. So thank you so much for talking to Screen Watching.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Okay, bye-bye.